Dysfunctional societies. The human species are at present facing problems that threaten its very survival. By tinkering with nature and having weapons of mass destruction, we are dangerously close to making our world uninhabitable for humans. Jesus was correct 2,000 years ago to claim that the only hope for our survival as a human species is to love nature and to love our fellow human beings. Why has society fallen into such a deep hole? We tend to drift towards extremes to boost our egos, forgetting that the extremes only define the boundaries to the golden middle. We are too easily brainwashed with fear and are too easily addicted to whatever provides short-term gratification like money and sex. We are basically selfish and mislead ourselves into believing that we know more than we do and that we are smarter than what we really are. We are basically too greedy and power too easily corrupts us. We are too easily misled by others to believe whatever they want us to believe. We believe there is no God. This makes us arrogant and ignorant and without any purpose. We believe instead that science with its technology is the salvation of mankind. Scientists are too specialized to appreciate and understand anything other than their own narrow field of interest. They are paid to study and prove whatever they are funded to find. Engineers produce products and gadgets for the profit of investors instead of for the benefit of the public. We spend far too much of our time with gadgets, chatting with virtual friends on the internet, and far too little time with people in our neighborhoods, nurturing friends. We prefer to experiment with the passive virtual reality of TV for our entertainment instead of to experience the hard realities of life for our education. We believe in the value of public education provided freely by governments. In truth, nothing given by any government is free. Public education is indoctrination to make citizens easier to influence and manipulate by making them unwilling and unable to think for themselves and to question authority. Starting at an early age with kindergartens, children are removed from the tutelage and sanctity of families and cultivated under a program of brainwashing called education, where they are programmed and trained to be obedient and skilled adult workers, supporting consumerism by producing and buying worthless and often harmful products. We believe that multiculturalism is beneficial. We fail to realize that when people of many different cultures integrate in a society, then eventually either one culture overtakes all the others, or everyone blends into a new culture and all find themselves uprooted. We believe that collectivism for the good of all is better than individualism. We feel safer being in a crowd. Our inherent character is to be like sheep, ready to follow the largest crowds and to sacrifice our lives for the loudest leaders. The loudest leaders are usually corrupt and greedy and are also usually the most nationalistic, with the strongest ideology, and cause most of the wars. The wars in the end benefit only the leaders and the secret few in the background who shun any limelight, controlling the supply of money, weapons, and raw materials used to rebuild the destruction of wars. We believe that our security is more important than our freedom and do not realize that when we surrender our freedom for security, we eventually end up losing both. We believe in the bigger the better. We fail to realize that the bigger you are, the harder you fall. We think that in this ever-shrinking world we find ourselves in, globalization and centralization reaps benefits of efficiency. We like to put all our eggs in one basket, not realizing that we risk losing all our eggs. We hospitalize our patients in huge facilities in the name of efficiency and are surprised that many leave with new diseases they have picked up during their stay. We crowd people in hermetically sealed high-rises and are surprised that we no longer know our neighbors. We grow crops in vast monoculture fields that deplete the soil so that it needs to be chemically fertilized. We raise animals in vast industrialized facilities that are so overcrowded that they need to be constantly fed stronger antibiotics against bacteria that develop resistance and grow stronger with time. We rape nature and divert rivers to feed our ever-hungry machines instead of feeding people and watering crops. We allow corporations and banks to grow so big and corrupt that they become too big to fail and jail, and they become so powerful and rich that they leave behind the vast majority of people powerless, poor, and dependent without any hope of being able to improve their lives. We believe in the faster the better, preferring instant fast foods and eating on the go instead of eating nutrition meals at home that take time to prepare. We prefer quick fixes and short-term gains despite the resulting long-term pains we end up with. We believe that as long as we have a vote, we have democracy, and that democracy makes us free. We fail to realize that voters elect politicians for their promises only one day in 5 years. Politicians are influenced by lobbyists and are bribed by corporations to represent their interests instead of the interests of the voters. We naively trust central banks to issue and manipulate currencies in order to stabilize prices. We fail to realize that with globalization, all of the various national currencies are tied to the US dollar, which is controlled by private, greedy international speculators with selfish interests in making short-term profits for themselves. The debased fiat dollars they print without any limits are no longer backed by gold held in vaults, but instead based on baseless promises. We judge people and things much more by their outward superficial appearance than by their inner content. We believe that money makes us happy and gives us freedom. That might be true for the very few rich, but definitely not true for the vast majority. We fail to realize that money is very addictive and that the more money we have, the more money we want and need. It is so addictive that we become enslaved by needing to consume worthless and often harmful products like drug addicts need to consume their drugs. We believe that the more money our family has, the better off it is. So we sacrifice our parents stay-at-home families to have two parents working families that end up to become nobody at home all day families, also known as latchkey children families, that tend to become single emancipated mom families and end up to become dysfunctional families. Having too many dysfunctional families in our societies causes societies to become dysfunctional. We believe that men and women are all created equal. That might be true in the eyes of God in heaven, but definitely not true here on earth. Men have always used their physical strength to subjugate women. Men, the providers and defenders of their families, proudly provide sperm, houses, food, and flowers to their far superior women who humbly turn them into beautiful babies, warm homes, delicious meals, and love.